I don't know how long this video is going to be. I also don't know what the sound quality is going to be like. Simple reason why is I've just fitted this camera and the microphone to this new helmet I've got, and there's no mesh bottom, so wind and noise can come up through the bottom of the helmet, which annoyingly is where the microphone is. But we shall see. This might be a complete waste of time. I might scrap all the footage, but I might not. So I'm heading down this way, and the reason why is because I spotted something a number of years ago, and I've always been super curious as to what it is, and I've never actually bothered to look at it. But we're going to go and see. It's down here. I think it's to the right somewhere. I believe it is. The one down on Smith Street over there. I just stopped. Oh, and obviously the monkey is no more, which means all the little shortcuts we normally take and things like that aren't going to be able to be done, because this is a bit of a bigger bike. Right, I think, yeah, it's down here. There it is. Right, let's find somewhere to pull up. So yeah, it's a traffic island, but it's more of a turret than an actual traffic island. Right, worst place to do a U-turn. Right, we're all right. Turning circle on this isn't actually that bad. I mean, the monkey obviously would turn on a coin, but this is all right. Obviously, Sikhs don't need to wear helmets in the UK. Because their turban needs to always be in contact with their head. I've seen that guy around a lot. He's a delivery driver, and obviously he stands out because he never wears a helmet. Right, I know this is double yellow lines, but there's no traffic and we're not going to be here long. So it's slightly overgrown. So guess what it is? What do you think it could be? Because I've just grown up in the area and I've always just known it to be here. And, oh God, the masks. It's like post-apocalyptic at this point, really, isn't it? Seeing all these masks lying around and stuff like that. But yeah, so I always thought to myself, I was like, bearing in mind, when I was a kid, I only sort of got fleeting glimpses at it, and I just knew it as like a brick turret. But when I was younger, I was like, oh, it must be part of like an old castle that stood here or something like that. But if you've guessed what it is, I'll tell you, it's actually well, in essence, it's like a chimney. It's an air vent, because there's a railroad that goes underneath here, and this is an air outlet for that tunnel. But it's just really strange, because obviously this is just like a quiet sort of suburban residential area. That's quite a nice old building. Look at that. What is that? What is that? It's fancy, isn't it? Oh, I think that's not a care home. I think it's like, we'll go and have a look. It's around the side over there. There's the new bike. I didn't need to park a double yellow lines. I would have fit there. Never mind. Right, let's go and have a look and see what that building is. I think, I'm not confident in what I'm thinking, but if it's what I remember, it's like a care home or like a hospice or something. Oh, come on, mate. Yeah, so that's like a air vent for the trains. Yes, I believe it is like a hospice. But which one I cannot remember. Highlands Gardens. Oh wait. Maybe not. Are they flats? Like, I'm not being funny, but that cannot be flats. Highland Gardens. I mean, that's quite the building. Let's ask man. Excuse me, mate. Are you local?
Yeah, to a degree.
Do you know what this building is?
No.
Oh, okay.
It's flats.
That's what I was thinking. I thought it was like a care home or a hospice or something like that.
No, I think it's just flats in there.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Bloody mental, it's like Hogwarts. Yeah. Cheers, mate. Yeah, look. Highlands Gardens. They're flats. Bloody hell. Not bad. And then, of course, if you're on the upper levels of that building, you get the sea views. You can't really see it because it's quite a bright day, but that's the sea there. It's pretty well lit today. And then just down here, so this whole site here, look at these old boundary walls, that bit's falling apart a bit. But this site over there was the old college, and that's all been ripped down and put into modern houses. Whoa, look at all this gravel on the road. Ah, no, these are the new houses. They've made them look like townhouses, like you sort of Mary Poppins-esque sort of London street with like the wrought iron black fencing and the lanterns outside and stuff like that. But then they've put these really horrible like square porches on them. Well, they're not even porches, I don't know what they are, but they're not very nice at all. They're so blocky. There's like no emotion to them, like flat roof pubs. Instead they're flat roof houses. Ugh, horrible. I can't get out. Never mind. Pretty sure it was Gary Neville that was behind me just then. Right, let's get back through this gravel. If I turn left here, I should be able to get onto the seafront. It's nice as well, covered in leaves. Yeah, this is the other side of them. Ugh, they got these weird like tiles down the front, just to try and give it like a touch of character. You got all the Volkswagens and Skodas brand new out on the front. Oh, sorry mate, I didn't realise you were waiting. And then just down here, we've got the rear of the Masonic Hall. Sort of bubbling then. Yeah, it's pretty unimpressive, but that's the Masonic Hall. I'll have a look at the front quickly, because I'm sure we can pull up around here. Big old ditch. Masonic Hall. It's quite Art Deco really, isn't it? Nevertheless, no entry. Whoops, looks like we're going this way. Oh yeah, I know where we are. A lot of these buildings are just falling apart. This church has been condemned as well. Look at that, what a shame. I mean, it's a horrible church. It's really like, it looks like a lair of like a Bond villain or something. But you got the stained glass windows just coming out, pigeons going in and out and shit like that. Got smashed windows on the side, graffiti, and then there's signage on the front saying "Do not enter." Yeah, apparently there's security, so I can't get in. Oh, and the Roses are right there as well. Oh no! Where are the police? Where are they? Because they're not in the car. Where are we going? We'll go left. He says, yeah, this area of the seafront's pretty neglected over the last couple of years. So like the Royal Victoria Hotel, it's been around for absolutely ages, and it's just an absolute fucking shithole inside. Like a lot of this area here had its heyday in like the post-war period. It was the Victorian era and the post-war era. That's when all the money came in. And then of course the advent of cheap package flights and holidays just completely drove away all the business. But it's a tale as old as time. You go to any seaside town, particularly in the southeast, and you know, you'll hear a similar story. It's a nice calm day today. I wonder if we'll have any esteemed guests arriving. A couple of paddleboarders. I won't be seen dead in that water. This is this section of the beach. This section of this entire sort of like coastline is where Southern Water dump their raw sewage. So you could be splashing around, swimming in that, and then fucking banger comes floating past you. Eesh. And then Warrior Square Gardens again, just another place which has just slowly fallen really. Again, you can imagine what it sort of looked like in the Victorian era, all decorated, all the flowers that they would have grown, because obviously gardens were really popular in the Victorian era, particularly coastal ones. And then of course there's a statue of Queen Victoria at the front of the gardens itself. I'm going to show you something interesting actually when it comes to Queen Vic. So one thing I will say is that, bearing in mind the location of where I am, the southeast of England, we're only a stone's throw away from France, which during the Second World War meant that this was there's nowhere for me to park. This was quite a scary area to live in. There was a lot of bombing raids, and as a result of that, this part of the coastline was basically reinforced. There was anti-aircraft guns put up, there was artillery pieces put up, things like that, and we were bombed a few times. In fact, there's a primary school which is actually built in the ditch of a £5,000 weighted bomb. I won't show you that though, because I don't tend to hang around schools, but I'm just going to pull over quickly, chuck the old hazards on, and I'm going to show you something super quick whilst we're here. So I'm going to pretend that I've broken down a little bit. Oh no, my bike. So on this statue of Queen Victoria, you can see there's a hole in her dress. That's actually a bullet from a Messerschmitt. There was a gun run down this coastline, and a bullet hit her in the skirt, which is very disrespectful. Right, let's see if we can rejoin traffic. There's a red light now, so should slow down a little bit. But yeah, and it's always been there. There's a cone next to her because, you know, in like, I think it's Glasgow or Edinburgh or something like that, there's a statue and they always put the cone on it, and everyone's like, oh, the cone on the statue, how hilarious. Well, since all the Londoners moved down here, they've started doing it to Queen Victoria to try and make it like their own little niche joke thing. And it's like, oh, there's Queen Vic with her cone on. I mean, it's usually a local that goes up and removes it. because Londoners aren't welcome here. Dankeschön. Right, so yeah, just imagine, I mean, this entire sort of promenade, these big sections here, would have had anti-aircraft emplacements put on them. There's some great images online. See, a better YouTuber would carry on with the voiceover and put the pictures that he was talking about in the video. So I'm like, oh, like Mark Felton. The anti-aircraft guns were placed on Hastings seafront to face the formidable Luftwaffe. But I'm not doing that. I can't be bothered. Editing's a bitch. Dun, 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 dun. So I'm going to pull up and have a cigarette and that, but I'm going to talk about this building to my left in a minute. So cars go quite slow in car parks, as we all know, but luckily, being on a bike, I can circumvent that because there's a teeny tiny little route here that I can just about squeeze through. Yeah, so St Mary and the Castle, I'll tell you about that. So that hillside up there, we can't see at the moment, but that's actually where Hastings Castle is. So we went up there a while back, didn't we, when we needed to check the hedges, but you can see a bit of an outcrop of the building up there. But this cliff is actually the part which fell away into the sea and took half the castle with it. The original cliff went out to almost to the sea, actually, and then they decided to build that. Now, it doesn't look like much, because obviously it's just like a facade of buildings, but inside is actually like a full amphitheatre, and it's absolutely insane. But like with a lot of other establishments in Hastings, they eventually went out of business because it just wasn't very popular. Nobody really did anything there, and now it's up for grabs. That building, which I believe involves the gallery here in front of us, those are independent shops, but that is like an independent gallery, sorry, a gallery that goes into the actual amphitheatre itself. I think they're asking for like 300 grand for it. £300,000 for essentially a huge theatre and an art gallery. I mean, that's cheaper than a 3-bedroom house round here. But who knows what's going to happen. Love Pride. That's what that says, Love Pride. But I don't take instructions from graffiti, so I will not. Thank you very much. Right, let's roll on to where only God knows, because I have no plan for today. We're just rolling around, seeing what's happening. Someone's taking images out at sea. What's going on? Nothing. Thought it'd be an interesting boat or something. Oi, oi. Oh yeah, look, there's Hastings Borough Council. The bane of the town. Absolutely ridiculous. They can't even keep this fountain running. There's a fountain here, and normally it's got a big old sort of display going on, but they haven't turned it on in ages. The reason why is because it's a local favourite of the youth to throw a box of washing up liquid in it, and then it gets soap suds all over the road and stuff like that, which obviously, you know, it's a bit of a hazard, it's a bit of a hassle, but you know, it's only a bit of soap. But now they just keep it turned off completely. Oh, and that big gap in that building that you saw there was actually where an old nightclub and amusements were. And one of the best ways of sort of claiming on the insurance and getting away with it is to just burn things down. It's what they did with the pier, it's what they did with that building there. If there's planning permission which is denied to like knock it down or something like that, then they'll simply just burn it down and get the insurance money. This is a funny story, right? So this shop here above it, that house, 61A, is actually a hotel. And come on. That's the hotel that sosban, I don't know how to say that word to be honest. That's where he stayed. And it was in pretty poor order. The doors were so he couldn't get out of the building. He was like, "Oh, I can't open that front door. I'm just gonna go to the toilet quickly anyway, and then I'll meet you downstairs." So I was like, "Okay." And it's just an ordinary latch. It's quite common around here. But I looked it up, and it turns out it's a latch which it's common around here, but not everywhere else, which is just really bizarre. So he didn't know how to do it. Then the next day he woke up to some bloke freaking out in like the little lobby bit. And this guy was like, "Oh, I can't open the door, I can't open the door." So he banged on Sosban's door and he was like, "Oh, do you live here or are you just a guest?" And his was like facing the street, and this like northern guy was like proper freaking out. So Sosban was like, "Oh no, I'm just a guest." So without even asking, this guy just walks into his bedroom, opens his window, leans out of that first floor window to just people having their breakfast on the street corners, at the cafes and things like that. And he leans out and he's like, "Help! Help! We're locked in!" Fucking, eventually the door gets opened, because it's just a latch that northerners can't handle, apparently. And, steady on. And, we go out for a bit of breakfast and think, "Oh, we'll swing back to the hotel quickly and then we'll go to the pub." Fucking 2 fire engines and a fire car are there doing a full fucking inspection of the building. Turns out it's like basically condemned. Like this guy's like going around with a clipboard just like shaking his head at like fuse boxes and things like that. So the owner arrives and he says to Sosban, he's like, "You can either stay here for the night, but that's your responsibility, but legally I have to tell you that you can't stay here." So of course he stayed there, and so did a couple who were travelling from like China or something like that. But yeah, we got back and just half of Hastings like fire brigade is outside the front door. Fucking hell. This guy didn't have a clue though, he didn't know what he was doing. But it was so funny. Fucking hell. Probably had to be there, fuck's sake. No, I'm not sitting at that red. So I read a statistic recently about pubs, and I think it's something like 5 pubs every week, it might even be more, basically close their doors for good. Not refurbished, not under new management, nothing like that, just completely closed. And but I'm going to show you 2 examples of pubs in the area, one of which is still very much open. What are you doing, sir? And the other was closed and opened as a new business. So the first one, it's down one of these little side roads. Obviously this is quite a quiet little area. This is right on the cusp of Hastings, and that's no entry, for fuck's sake. And yeah, it's just a little suburban area, and then it just goes out into the countryside. There's not anything beyond this road here. There's a couple of little towns and coves and things like that, but oddly enough, there's still a little pub down here which is still operating and still, as far as I'm aware, quite busy. And it's a proper locals pub. Maybe we can find a local and interview them about said pub. Right, I've got turn left here. Where is it? There it is. And there it is. Old King John. It's got live music every Sunday afternoon, log fire in winter, and the best pub garden in Orr in summer. So, yeah, it's just a very nice old little pub. There's a bit of a joke as well. This area that I'm in is in Orr, so there's 3 sort of neighbourhoods of Hastings. You've got Hastings Central, which everybody just calls Hastings. You've got St Leonard's, and then you've got Orr. And people joke that the only reason why Orr exists is because when people moved to town, they said, oh, you can live in Hastings or St Leonard's. And they said, oh, Orr sounds nice. Ha ha. Hilarious. Let's see. Oh, I think that's just a walk. Or Manhattan Gardens. Yeah, it's just a walkway. But yeah, it's just a really old little pub, which doesn't operate in a particularly busy area, but is still quite sort of popular, which is great. And then when we go down this way, we're going to see something which is the polar opposite. So this pub down here, and if I'm remembering correctly, and I hope I am, was called the Oddfellow Arms. And big old pub, big, really nice sort of structure to it, that sort of Tudor. It looks fake, but it might just be because of the colour scheme they've chosen for it, but it's just down here on the right. But it's got the wood beams, you can sort of see the side of the building, it's got some scaffolding on it. Well, we're just going to go out and just squeeze our way out. There we go. But now it's a Tesco Express. So that was a big pub, and it was a very popular pub, very busy all the time. You can see the size of it. You know, it was a proper family establishment. People would go, well, with their families like you would with any pub. And now it's a Tesco Express. So there you go. Gone from pints and pies to meal deals. Oh, just quickly while we're here, this used to be a pub called the Wheat Sheaf, and now it's Hong Kong Garden Restaurant Takeaway, which is a bit sad. And then if we carry on down here, there's 2 things I want to point out. I'm going to go right here, which should be, yeah, this is fine. Yes. So just down this way, we've got the North Star Inn, which I believe is, if I'm correct in thinking, it's over here, there it is. Yeah, this is the North Star Inn. So it's got a train on the signage. It's a bit weird because it's like, it used to be all really train orientated, like it had like decorations relating to train stations and like timetables and things like that, but there's no there's no train station around here, so I don't know. But it's recently changed. It's like turned into, it looks, I mean, in all honesty, it looks more like a Wetherspoons in there now. But what are you gonna do? And then just down this way, we're going to turn left again, because I just remembered it's there. This little building next to the zebra crossing, God, imagine. Oh, it's all been smashed in. But that is, they're doing it up. Those were the one with the red doors was Hastings Labour Party headquarters. And then just up the road, in the industrial estate, weirdly, is the Tory Pies headquarters for Hastings. I'll show you an actual railway themed pub. So there's two pubs down here, and they couldn't be further apart from each other, but geographically as close as they are. It's really bizarre, but I'll show you. I will show you. So one is railway themed. There's like 4 pubs down here. 5. I'm only going to show you 4 though. But one is actually railway themed and is like quite a locals pub. I don't know of it being a touristy place or anything like that. But it very much is a local people's pub. A local pub for local people. And they're both just down this way. All good. So you've got the Royal, which I believe is now owned by Londoners, and it's very, very posh and fancy and boutique and stuff like that. And then just next to it, I don't know why I've just rolled around like this. Oh look, what is God's Kingdom? We'll find out in a minute. Yeah, the Railway, which is a very sort of local people's pub, and you can see it's got that sort of Victorian decoration on it. You see them on old gin houses, this sort of like tiling and stuff like that. But you've got the Railway, the Piper, and then obviously the train stations behind us. But down here, and I've seen it before, because I've been past it so many times when I was a kid. But I didn't realise it was still open. Hopefully they've got the door open again, because I went past the other day and it is a proper local pub, you know. And here it is on the right, the Prince of Wales. And yeah, those doors were open, and it was open and it looked rough. Like rough. And then on the corner down here we have ourselves the Piper, and this is like another London owned boutique one with like live music and stuff like that. Should we go and find out about God's Kingdom? I'm kind of in the mood for that, to be honest. I can't remember how to get back up that way though from here, and I could take the longer route. Here, there's no signage. Right, let's see what God has planned for me. I'm gonna go back through the no entry bit, grab myself a leaflet. All right.
How you doing?
Yeah, good. What's all this about then?
Oh, it's talking about God's Kingdom. I don't know if you've ever heard the Lord's Prayer. Thy kingdom come.
Yeah.
So it's just saying, what is that kingdom?
You got a leaflet?
Yeah.
I ain't really got any room for a magazine, but
That, I don't know if you do the web. There's a web address on the back as well.
oh, on the internet. Yeah, I'm not very good at the internet.
Oh, okay. I've got, if I can find my phone, I've got a short video that just explains about it. If you're like 3 minutes.
Oh, I ain't got that amount of time. Sorry.
Okay.
What's it about?
Do you think what the word kingdom would have meant when that was written? thousands of years ago.
Yeah.
It was a government.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I'm not going to get into politics one way or the other.
No, please don't. We don't. It might like I don't talk about politics
no,
at all.
good man.
I just talk about
But
what I have for dinner.
we need
You know, things like that.
government to sort out the problems of the world.
Yeah.
And that's what that's about. Thy kingdom come.
Right. Okay.
Done on earth as it is in heaven. So it's God's government.
But I suppose you don't need to vote for them a lot, do you?
don't have to. Well,
No.
in a sense, we've made our decision.
Oh, okay.
That's who we're going to serve and work for, if you like.
Yeah. I'll have to have a look at their manifesto then. Have you got like so? So your website explains all of it and stuff like that then?
It's on the back of the
Yeah, you can do it with a.
Yeah.
If you're into the old little multi-dot code things, QR codes, it'll do it.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Type in it in the browser. And
Yeah. Fair enough. That's sometimes a bit easier, isn't it?
No cookies, no conditions, or anything like that. It's just freely available.
Got ya. Fair enough. Cool. Nice one. I'll have a look. Sorry.
I can't see an awful lot of your face, but there's something about your eyes are familiar. Have we met before?
No, I don't think so. I've just got those types of eyes, I'm afraid.
I won't hold it again.
Nice bike.
Yeah. Thank you.
You take care.
Yeah, as soon as you said government and politics, I was out of there. No, they seem like nice guys though, so I'm not going to sort of stand there and take the piss. But yeah, where those guys set up, it's a bit of an obscure place, so they must get some right old loonies come up to them, to be fair. But we had a look at some pubs, we rode around for a bit, and I'm hungry, so I'm going to call it a day on that. So stay tuned for the next thrilling instalment over what happens next, I guess. I don't fucking know. How do you sign off from a YouTube video? End.